Let's talk about Resident Evil, Netflix's latest series based on Resident Evil. Strong start, Connor, keep it going. Now, of course, you're going to be able to compare this brand new series to the lore of one of the biggest horror franchises in media, spanning a head-spinning number of games, movies, and shows. However, in this honest review, I'm going to share my own personal thoughts and feelings about Season 1 of Resident Evil for exactly what it is, rather than comparing it to previously established lore. However, if you'd like to share your own ideas about how this show stacks up to previous installments, then feel free to in the comments below. Just for context, what I can say is that this series focuses on the build-up to the initial T-virus outbreak in New Raccoon City, as well as delving into the history of the events of Resident Evil 2, the Wesker family, and the Umbrella Corporation, and we get a few nods to other games and characters. But ultimately what we end up with is, in my honest opinion, a complete mess. As I'm going to be discussing key plot details, there will be spoilers ahead, so you have been warned. I only wish I was warned about this series though, because I had a really tough time with it for the most part, so this review is probably going to wind up as a slice of blind rage. The main gripes I have here are simply the main characters, acting, and the overall narrative presentation. But before I break into them, the usage of enemies in this show is painfully sparing. If you want a fast-paced, energetic zombie series, you're not getting it. The zombies, or Zeros as they're referred, appear very little, and in terms of the larger boss-like enemies, you get a giant caterpillar, one scene, a giant spider, one scene, some lickers, one scene, and a giant crocodile, couple of scenes. But that's it. The sheer level of threat you'd likely expect from a show like this just isn't apparent, and that's due to what narrative directions the show takes. We jump between two time periods back and forth, 2022 and 2036. The 2022 story is mostly a high school drama, which is insufferable to watch at times, packing in a whole bunch of cringeworthy dialogue and plot threads that I really couldn't be asked to endure, yet we get multiple episodes of it. Jade and Billie are themselves enormously irritating, though Billie more so than Jade. I couldn't engage with either of them purely from how wound up I got by the scripts. Like, I've come here for some zombie action, not a generic school bully shoving food in Billie's face, and then after being bullied, they both mouth off to Albert for not answering their calls, despite being on important business calls, and then when he does extend his hand to help, they don't want it. It's like a stock family drama here, which for me really detracted from the entire reason I wanted to watch the show in the first place, even when taking out comparisons to previous Resident Evil. On top of this though, the decision making of these girls, not just in 2022 but in the 2036 timeline, I guess I'll have to contextualize the 2036 timeline now. So Jade at this point's grown up, she's trying to find a cure for the virus, has a daughter of her own. There you go, that's it. Oh yeah, and then of course we got the Billie reunion, which leads to further cringy dialogue. Honestly, the 2036 side to the story feels so directionless, and even by the time we got to the finale, I thought, where are they even leading this story? Like, older Billie's intentions are to secure artifacts and paintings so that she has control over the memories of humans, not universities, because she's got bad memories. Fuck's that supposed to mean? So anyway, back to the point of bad decision making. Here's a few examples. In 2022, Jade and Billie break into the Umbrella lab and let an infected dog loose which bites Billie. Why would you go in there in the first place? And also, why is Umbrella the easiest place to break into in the world despite having potentially deadly viruses in it? Okay. And then in 2036, Jade has a pheromone that can prevent the Zeros from detecting people. Oh, and how does she go to prove this to her curious daughter B? By doing a test with her in the room without protection, and of course this leads to the Zero breaking free and killing someone. Why would you potentially endanger yourself, your crew, and your own daughter for the sake of, hey, look at this, isn't this cool? Oh, it really did my tits in. So because of how they're written and the choices they make, I couldn't get behind Jade or Billie at any given time, which isn't great considering they're the two main characters. But they're still not the worst characters here. Oh, no. First off, Baxter. He is ridiculous. Essentially, he's an Irish Samuel Tarly. He comes in as this guy working for Umbrella trying to capture Jade in the 2036 timeline, but what we get is yet more cringe with him being a poorly executed comedy relief character. He's hunting the protagonist, yet you're painting him as a clown. So again, I couldn't get behind the character. He makes all these wisecracking jibes that just made me sigh with embarrassment for the writers here. And if you want to bring up the disjointed tone of the show, look no further than the scene of Baxter picking off a string of zeros to Jamiroquai. It's like the showrunners suddenly went, you know, Edgar Wright? Yeah, yeah, let's do Edgar Wright. However, Baxter still isn't even the worst person here. Evelyn. Honestly, right, I've put up with some bollocks characters in the past, and I genuinely don't think I've hated a character more in my entire life. She is shockingly acted and painfully written. She can only speak like an edgelord, her motives are ridiculous, and her facial expressions are laughably punchable. She's got fuck off heat in every single scene she's in. I'd play you some particular clips of her horrendous dialogue, but don't worry, a supercut's coming at the end of the review. Not just for her, but in general. Evelyn's whole thing is that there's an experimental drug named Joy that Umbrella's developed, which can provide positive feelings, but with the side effects of being susceptible to brainwashing, i.e., this is a perfect marketing tool and we can manipulate the masses into doing whatever we want them to. Oh, Joy! Or also, if they take enough of them, they could become vicious. Let's bottle it! But even this entire Joy plotline ends up going absolutely fucking nowhere come the end of the show. It's honestly like Evelyn and the entire Joy story have been written by a bot tasked with writing the most generic corporate villain possible. She's a painfully ignorant bitch that only speaks like Tumblr posts, is vastly hittable, and oh my days, when she pops up in 2036, I have no review of this scene, just watch it. Resident Evil, everyone! You know the biggest shame here? It's Lance Reddick. Because he absolutely gives it his all here, and hands down carries the entire thing. Not just as Albert Wesker, but as the OG Albert Wesker and two other clones, including Bert. All four versions have vastly different personalities, and Reddick performs them all perfectly. There's one scene in the first episode after Billy's bullied where he threatens the bully's father, who also works for Umbrella, and it's without question my favourite scene in the entire first season. His sudden switch from level-headed pleasantness to venomous intelligence is a sight to behold. It's so sad that the show around Reddick is poorly handled because it doesn't give enough credit to the superb job he does here. And I will say, for the sake of fairness, that on the whole, I did quite enjoy the 4th and 5th episodes, which are the French prison chainsaw episode, followed by Jade and Billie sneaking around their home, following clues to find the secret basement. I rather enjoyed these for separate reasons. The prison episode was the best action in the series, hands down. The best use of the zeros, and despite some mega dumb choices like Jade using a pile of grenades to take out a horde by putting them in front of a massive wooden door that had absorbed the force, yeah, apart from that, I liked the aesthetic just enough to get kinda engaged at least. And then in the basement episode, it was just quite a cool concept that indirectly demonstrated Albert's secrecy and Umbrella's mystery, with the girls and their friend Simon, Evelyn's son, following a series of clues and avoiding the house's CCTV spots in order to track down the basement. It's the closest this series felt to the puzzle-solving elements found in the games, and had the series been mostly like episode 4 and handled better, this would have been a good breakaway bottle episode. So there you go, you've had a little bit of fair positive criticism, but on the whole, I think Resident Evil was a mess. I was unengaged and often at times infuriated by its pacing, plot lines, characterization, performances, cringy references and dialogue, lack of enemies, stupid choice making, and juxtaposed comedic tones. Don't think I can say much more than that, so to highlight some of my honest arguments using the show itself as evidence, I'm gonna play this one out with a selection of my most hated moments in the series. I got through 8 episodes of this shit for you guys, so a subscribe would be much appreciated to make the sacrifice worth it. I'm Connor from Unleash the Ghouls, and there's no green herb that'll save you now. Here's an unhealthy dose of awkwardness.
They've got kombucha on tap. You've got a great ass.
Shot Bambi in the brain.
Cat thing, super fucked up.
Who needs delicious chocolate when you can toss a couple of shriveled up grapes in there?
Think of all the people you could help. Cutters, the spastics, the chronic masturbators.
Okay, I'm gonna need to see some proof.
What, like a DNA test?
Come on, honey, you think I miss your world-famous lemon salmon?
This is our billion-dollar idea. Dogs.
Who hasn't bopped his Annie and gone hunting for Louboutins? Right, Alan?
I freaking love SpongeBob. I mean, his best friend's a starfish.
She just got her vaginal papered.
And you're just crushing on some dick.
Because unless I get what I want, I'm gonna turn your little fucking love boat into the Titanic.
So much pasta.
Hey, Mama. It's still always the fucking Jade show. I loved him. A little fucking respect.
180, crazy.
What the fuck is this?